You're listening to the 6 o'clock news on BBC Radio 4. The Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, has said the Crown Prosecution Service should consider bringing criminal charges against organisations found to be at fault for the infected blood scandal. Thousands of people with haemophilia and other disorders became ill or died when they were given blood contaminated with HIV and other viruses on the NHS in the 1970s and 80s. Mr Burnham, who's a Labour former Health Secretary, was giving evidence to the public inquiry into the issue. Our health correspondent Jim Reid was listening.
Mr Burnham led calls for an independent investigation into the contaminated blood disaster when he was still an MP. He used his final speech in the House of Commons in 2017 to accuse the health authorities of a criminal cover-up on an industrial scale. A public inquiry, likely to be the longest in legal history, began work 3 years ago. Giving evidence, Mr Burnham said thousands of victims have been let down by successive governments.
I think that the Department of Health and the bodies for which it is responsible have been grossly negligent of the safety of the haemophilia community in this country. And I would add to that, from there, I would say there is even the possibility that the CPS should be asked to consider charges of corporate manslaughter.
That applause, rare at this inquiry, came from victims and their relatives in the room. Mr Burnham said he had seen evidence that some patients had not been told they had been infected by contaminated treatment even after testing positive. He claimed others had seen their medical records falsified or deleted. He accused successive governments and the civil service of being overly concerned with the financial implications of the disaster and called for ministers to quickly agree final compensation for victims and their families.